Hey friends, happy Thursday, 17th of June. Many blessings to you. Many of you know this is my day off. I do not have huge plans today. I've been on some vacation. I have helped with, or been on some retreat. And so probably today is just a good day for me to get my life in order. Probably a pretty chill Thursday, all things considered. But just that reminder, all of us are called to work and then to rest, right? To allow God to recreate us in different ways. All right, 11th week in Ordinary Time, working on the second letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians and the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew's Gospel. I'll give you a reflection. I invite you to click the link to prayerfully read the readings if you haven't done so already, and then turn off the screen. Today and Friday and Saturday, we've got something that's odd about the second letter to the Corinthians. The thing that we know is that the tone has changed. Prior to this, the tone is more laid back. The word would be conciliatory. Paul in gentleness and encouragement and motivation. And now we've got Paul the butt kicker. There are those, so now this is hypothesis, idea, there are those who wonder if this isn't a letter that Paul wrote in between 1 Corinthians and 2 Corinthians. This might be the letter of tears in which he called them to account. The community in Corinth maybe was going in a different direction from the gospel that Paul planted. And so he sent some workers there to kind of call them back into line, and then he sent them a letter. And he refers to that earlier in 2 Corinthians. So there are some who hold that maybe the letters got joined together. That's definitely a technique that would be used in the ancient world. We don't stress out about that when it comes to inspiration. There are other theories as to what's going on here. Just recognize the tone has changed. Now we've got Paul with his challenge. And that's good, right? Like, let us be challenged as well. What's going on, what's behind this reading, is that Paul is reinforcing his authority as an apostle to preach the gospel. Now, remember, Paul didn't know the earthly Jesus. Paul's message was weird because he was laid back. I mean, Paul, again, is a butt kicker, but he's not worried about male circumcision and following the kosher laws and following the 613 laws of the commandments of the law of Moses. He's open to Gentiles and not making Gentiles follow the law of Moses as a Jewish person. He's different than the other apostles. The other thing that's behind this is that whether it was an apostle who came to Corinth or whether it was maybe some of their co-workers, they probably relied on the generosity and the labor of the church in Corinth. Those of us who are professional ministers of the gospel, we just kind of avoid this, right? Because Paul is saying, look, like, you guys can pick on me for being an apostle who didn't charge you, didn't take up a collection to support ourselves. That doesn't mean that I'm less than these other apostles. There were good reasons why I didn't do it. And let me, like, bam, 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 drop some truth for you so that you understand that I'm just as good as those super apostles, right? Like, that's the sarcasm that Paul is throwing out there. What I would point out is that Paul, when he does this stuff, it's always for the service of the gospel, right? Always for the greater good of the people that he's writing to. It's not just about, I'm important and I got to tell you why I'm important. It's, I got to tell you this so that you understand that the gospel that I shared with you, that maybe is different than what you understand. It's maybe more open to the foreigner, maybe more open to the non-Jewish. There's a reason for that. And I have every much right to preach it as these other apostles. I don't quite know what you want to reflect on here today. Paul is challenging. So perhaps we might want to ask, how is the Lord challenging us in some of our own ways? Or perhaps another way to put it is like, how might we be called to stand up for ourselves today in some of our relationships? Kids, marriage, work, community, with love, with respect, with compassion, but also with respect for ourselves, created children of God who maybe need to speak some truth in order to help others to see a little bit more fully. Okay. Word about prayer, right? This is the teaching of the Our Father. Simply don't babble like the pagans who think that they're going to be heard because they use a lot of words. What's your prayer like? Oftentimes simple, relationship. God knows what you need before you ever pray. To be rooted in the needs of this day, to be rooted in what we truly need in order to follow after God. So many voices in this world about so many things that we need to worry about. But right here, right now, the Lord is our refuge and our hiding place. Perhaps we simply rest in the Lord, not babbling, but trusting that God knows our needs before ever the words are on our lips. Let's be praying for each other and praying for folks that are having a hard time. Happy Thursday, friends. God's blessings to you.